Words are symbols. They mean something for the person who told that, but they don't mean the same for somebody who heard that, said one of the founders of neurolinguistic programming, Frank Pucelik. The words have an incredible power, and not necessarily the word in itself, but the meaning we place on it, the feeling that comes with it, and the behavior that is generated from the word. That's important. Words are not only descriptive, they are generative, said Jason Silva. They generate feelings, they generate actions and behaviors, and you know that repeated behaviors generate a personality. That is what we'll talk about today. We'll talk about complex equivalence. Welcome to my channel. My name is Gabriel. I'm your personal mindset trainer today, and I intend to share with you one of the most important things in terms of words and using the language that I ever learned from my mentor and the founder of NLP, Frank Pucelik. If you want to know more about us or about the program, there is a link down below. And if you want to use a very powerful tool that I created for you in order to rearrange, rewire, and reprogram your mind in a very powerful, positive way, you also have a downloadable link below, which is absolutely free. Now let's get into the subject. So, words are not only descriptive. You don't just describe something. They are generative. They generate the world in which we are in, that we perceive. They generate feelings. They generate actions. They generate behavior. There is a concept in NLP that Frank Pucelik uses very often. It's called the chunk up and chunk down. What does that mean? Chunk up means, as far as I understood, that we have the tendency to complicate things, to put a lot of definitions on things, and we complicate them. Chunk down means to simplify things, to reduce things, to boil things down to something concrete. You know, Frank is a strong supporter of the chunk down. He says that it doesn't really matter how many definitions you have into your head about anything. What really matters is the behavior. That's the chunking down. It doesn't matter how many definitions you have. It matters the behavior. What you do matters a lot more than what you say. Okay? So, if you look in Google, for example, for complex equivalence, and you make a research on that, you'll have a very superficial understanding from that. It isn't much out there, but that doesn't mean that this complex is not very important. But when you learn this thing from Frank Pucelik at Meta International, you will gain a totally different perspective about this concept, and you will understand many things at once. You know, it will clear up your mind. Why that happened? Why that happened? Why is something wrong with the communication in between people? So we have a tendency. That's what on Google is what you find about complex equivalence. That we have a tendency to relate events to each other to better understand the world. Okay, so we know if there are dark clouds out there, it should rain, okay? We should carry an umbrella because it should rain. But the presence of dark clouds doesn't mean necessarily that it will rain, right? It doesn't mean necessarily, not always when you have dark clouds, it will rain. Such associations can be misleading or even superstitious. For example, if you are having a conversation with a person and they yawn, does that mean they are not interested in what you are saying? No. Not necessarily. It's possible, but it could also mean that they didn't sleep last night very well, or there is not enough air in the room. That's another meaning. So making such associations implies that one event means the other, or one event causes the other. Okay? That's of course there are situations where events can be associated, but often unrelated events, when they are associated, can lead to misunderstanding and a faulty logic. How can you recognize a complex equivalence? For example, you recognize it by noticing when two different distinct events are associated. This can be done by questioning the relationship they have with each other, as well as looking for counterexamples. So in order to understand if the association is valid, you can ask, how does this mean that? Okay, you can ask this question. How does this mean that? If I don't smile, I'm not enjoying something. Of course, I might not smile, but I can enjoy something. And you can ask that question. How does this mean that? Or ask for clarification. Does this really mean that? If you yawn, does this yawning means that you are not paying attention to me, or you are just sleepy? Okay? So this is mainly what is the understanding that you will get if you search the internet. From my understanding now, I think that complex equivalence concept, it goes a lot deeper, much deeper than that. I know that everyone is unique and have a unique model for perceiving the world. Everyone is unique, and we mainly learn to perceive the world through words. Unless they don't have a label. When something doesn't have a label, a word associated, a feeling, and something like, you don't quite perceive it, you don't quite see it. So we learn to perceive the world through words. We learn those things mainly in the first 7 years of our life, and we learn a certain way to perceive the world. We learn to put meaning to the world in those years. That doesn't mean that everybody have the same meaning associated with a certain word. Just because we learn something, it doesn't mean everybody learn it in the same way. It doesn't mean that. In most cases, we understand completely different the same word of expression. In my opinion, words in our operating system are like applications, like some applications on a computer. For every word, there is something that opens up. There is a door. There is a world. Every word opens a world. Okay? Every word is like an application. So every word opens a world of feeling and behavior. The problem is that the same word can open a different world for different people, can open a totally different door. So, and we have the tendency to believe the same door is open, the same thing is open, but it's not. And here comes the value of understanding complex equivalence. Because if you become aware of this thing, then I promise you, you can understand better and relate better to other people. You can understand better yourself, and you can understand better how the world might look like for other people. And this thing is crucially important for your success in anything you do, because for almost anything that you do or want to accomplish, you need other people. You need to work with other people. You need to understand other people. And learning, practicing, and understanding the concept of complex equivalence will dramatically increase your emotional intelligence. And believe me, that's powerful stuff. We'll have 2 lessons about emotional intelligence, and I look forward for that. And this concept of complex equivalence is really simple. All you need to understand is that every word, every expression, and every sentence can be a complex equivalence. Every one of them. Shortly, every word can have different meaning for different people. They don't have exactly the same meaning. They might appear to have, but they don't. And I will show you an exercise. How can you do that for yourself and understand that? And you will see that with your own experience. And if I would knew this earlier in my life would look totally different. But I didn't until I met Frank Pucelik. So how can we practice that? First of all, make a list. You make a list. I have my list. You make a list of the most important values, your most important core values and beliefs. Make a list of the most important words that define you. After you make that list, here comes the hard one, because I'm 100% sure that you never became aware of this until now. You can't. I couldn't become aware because I didn't know about this. I couldn't put attention of this. I didn't know about this. I didn't know how to translate this and to understand the meaning, the real meaning. I promise you, if you do this, you will understand a lot better yourself. And you will understand a lot better others. And you will definitely have better relationships and partnerships. And I think this is important. And because of that, you will become an incredible leader and a genuine, conscious human being. You will become conscious about stuff, about behaviors, for example. Knowing and understanding this is real power. Real power. So, here is what you have to do after you make the list with your most important words. And I will give you some example of words. For example, freedom, integrity, commitment, family, friendship, passion, growth, honesty, love, marriage, partnership, forgiveness, all those words that are important for you. You may say you are a forgiving person, right? Or you may say partnership is important, or you may say you have some values of your own. And all your most important values or words that defines you, that describe you, you have to put them down on that list. And if you do not know how to discover your core values, there is a lesson about values and beliefs. You go and find a lesson about values and beliefs on my channel. And I explain you there, how can you do that? Exactly, how can you do that? So, get a brand new journal. Get a brand new journal and dedicate it to this exercise. Write the list of your most important words on that journal. And then take each word, each one of those values, and write down at least 5 behaviors which demonstrates that you are living according to that specific value. Write down 5 behaviors, 5 of your behaviors that demonstrates that you are living according to that value. And at least 5 behaviors that others display in relationship with you, which demonstrate that you are living according to that value. That will not be easy. And when I talk about your behavior and others' behavior toward you, I am not talking about the ideal. I'm not talking an ideal behavior, a definition from your head of whatever should be good. to do. No, I am talking about what actually happened, what you actually do. And you do that with yourself in your intimacy. You don't have to show it to anybody. And please be honest about that. When you do that, please be honest about that. So this thing will not be easy task to do. So you should take your time. Take your time and think deep about a value and the behaviors. What do you do? If you say you are a good partner, for example, what exactly do you do to be a good partner? Put 5 behaviors there. And 5 behaviors of others that displays toward you, that demonstrate that you are living according to that value, to being a good partner. And once it's completed, you will have a better understanding of you. And you also can split the list into different areas of your life. You can make a list for parent, you can make a list for husband or wife, you can make a list of values for partner, you can make a list for an employee or an employer, you can make a list for friend, for section, you can make a list of those values and then put the behavior under them. And make this list in every area and make it as completely as you can. I said you should put 5 behaviors, but if you can put more than 5 behaviors, it will be better. How can you apply this in your relationship with others? And I'll give you an example. If you meet somebody, you just know somebody, and you want to go into a relationship or into a partnership with them, you already have the list. Okay? So what you have to do is teach the other to do the same thing, get some common words, some common values that you have both, and then you tell him what to do, to put 5 behaviors from his perspective, 5 behaviors from the other perspective, okay? Then compare the lists. Compare the list. Now you will be able to see the difference in perspectives, because for the same value, he might have different behaviors. And that demonstrates that he doesn't understand, he doesn't have exactly the same meaning for the same word like you do. When you have a better understanding, when you see the differences between the lists, you will have a ground to negotiate on. You will know each other better, and you can negotiate something from there. And you don't set expectations. You know, because expectations kills us. Not knowing kills us, but expectations kills us. So, if you decide to know yourself better, to communicate better, to relate better, I still have a lot of information on this subject. So stay tuned for the next lesson. And if you didn't subscribe yet, please hit the bell notification and the subscribe button so you will be notified when I put something new out there. And if this video helped you in any way, I will appreciate it if you comment, if you ask questions, and if you share it with somebody. I am sure you know somebody that has problems with the communication, or in a relationship, and this might clarify some of their problems. And all my content is free and is complete. I'll give you everything that I know from my perspective and from my life experience, and all you will ever have to pay is attention. And I do this because I believe you can do whatever you want to do. I do this because I believe there is an incredible potential within you and is ready to get out, to express. And I look forward to see you on the next lesson and to meet you at the next level. But until then, I wish you all the best and God bless you.